In this presentation, we will talk about two sports, soccer and table tennis, commenting on their histories, how they became Olympic sports, countries with greater popularity, and also about their adaptations for the Paralympics.
Rafael Fernandes Serafim, 442 Rome. Soccer has its rules like any other sport. The matches are 90 minutes long and they are divided into two periods of 45 minutes. And there are also some minutes of extra time. This extra time is decided by refereeing team on the match that has four referees on the field. The referee who will be on the field. Each team has 11 players on the field and may vary from 8 to 12 reserves. So each team is entitled to 3 substitutions per match. But with the pandemic, the soccer entity FIFA allowed each team to make 5 substitutions per match. Remembering that in the score there are punishments depending on the infraction that the player commits. So yellow card is assigned for minor fouls and the red for dangerous fouls. 2 yellows equal to 1 red.
Giovanni Brunati, 6651. Soccer appeared as a ritual in China in approximately 2600 BC, where tribal people kicked the heads of enemy chiefs because they believed that the foot would simulate the enemy's courage, bravery, and intelligence. In Japan, it also appeared as a ritual and was based on conducting the ball with the feet, showing delicacy and elegance with the ball. Historians say that the English had the habit of kicking leather balls, because they imagined that these balls were the heads of Danes, thus celebrating the expulsion of enemies for their country. This in 10th century. Over time, this practice turned into a game, but at the time there were not many rules, so that aggressions were allowed. King Edward banned the games for fear of losing his soldiers, so the game was only allowed again in England in 691. In 1810 to 1840, the game grew a lot in the public schools in England, but even so it's forbidden in elite schools, because it was considered violent. The first rules appeared in 1830, created by the Harrow College, but even so the rules were not universal. But in 1848, several colleges got together and defined the universal rules of the game, so that it could be played even among the elite. Soccer came to Brazil from English employees of the textile industry who practiced with their bosses. In 1894, Charles Miller returned to Brazil after a trip to England, and with him came two soccer balls, uniforms, and a rule book. On the 1st of August 1901, the first official soccer match took place in Brazil, and was between a team of Brazilians and a team of Englishmen. The game ended in 1-1. The history of soccer in the Olympic Games began in 1900 in Paris, and it was considered an exhibition sport. A curious fact is that the national teams have not been allowed to play at full strength since 1930s, because the creator of the Olympic Games defended amateurism. The greatest champions of men's soccer in the Olympics are Hungary and Great Britain, with 3 gold medals, but the Hungarians come out ahead for having 1 silver and 1 bronze. In third place is Argentina with 2 golds, followed by the Soviet Union and Uruguay. Brazil, despite having only 1 gold medal, is the country with the most medals in men's soccer, with 1 gold, 2 silver, and 3 bronze. Women's soccer appeared for the first time in the Olympics in the 1996, and the only 3 teams have won the gold medal. They are the USA with Leeds with 4 gold medals, followed by the Norway and Germany with 1 gold medal each.
Rafael Fernandes Serafim, 442 Rome. The main versions are football for 5 for athletes with visual impairment and football for 7 for athletes with brain impairment. Football history of 7 was created in Scotland in 1978. Only 4 years later, the first world meeting took place. In the 1984, he became part of the Paralympics. Main rules: played exclusively by the male gender. Athletes are classified according to degree of disability. The match is divided into two halves of 30. Football history of 5. The first reports are in the 50s. In 1978, the first competition took place. A few years later, it was the first Brazil Cup, and in 1998, the first World Championship was held. Main rules: only blind or visually impaired athletes can play matches. The goalkeeper is the only one who sees, to guarantee a level playing field. Everyone play in masks. Curiosities: 1. Only Brazil disputes all the cups. 2. There were no numbers on the shirts until 1947 in Brazil. 3. There were no cards until the Cup of 1970. 4. The first game in Brazil has played in 1895. 5. The first football club was the São Paulo Athletic Club of 1888. 6. Queen of Football. Marta is the woman who was the most awards for the best player in the world. Soccer is a very successful sport all over the world, but in some places it accumulates more fans. Brazil is known worldwide as the soccer country, but is the 13th country with the most fans. Leading this table can be found the United Arab Emirates, followed by Chile, Portugal, and Turkey.
Igor 3837. Table tennis is a sport in which the players for win need dominate some principles to control the ball in each racket stroke: speed, placement, force, and spin. The quality in which one masters these four basic principles will determine the possibility of winning matches. Mastery can be further elevated through the appreciation of technical of table tennis. The technical of table tennis is speed, placement, force, and spin. The mastering of these principles in table tennis, combined with the such as body mobility, body change, is a key of the victory. The table tennis is a sport with having two modalities, the solo and the duo, with the objective of the game is do the enemy lose through with he don't jetting hit the ball. In the duo modality is a match 2v2 with the duo need hit the ball alternately. Example: the duo is me and João versus Marcos and Giovanni. In the start of the game, we go draw who will go start with the ball. Guessing me one, I will go throw the ball to with the racket to Marcos. Marcos will go throw the ball to João. João will go throw the ball to Giovanni, and Giovanni will go throw the ball to me. In this order until the end of the match. Won the match who do 11 points first, but if you go to 10v10, won the game, the duo or the people with do 2 points more. Example: Richard 10v10. To win, me and João need to do 2 points without leaving the Marcos and Giovanni do 1 point. So we need to do the scoreboard 12 to 10 to win. If we got to do only 1 point and the mark 1.2 has the continuity of the match until arrive 31 points. Marcos Alexandre 7004.
This story. Table tennis appeared in England in the 19th century. Imitate the game of tennis in a closed environment. Everyday objects were used as equipment. A row of books could be used as a hammock, a butter stopper as a ball, and a cigarette box as a racket. The game populated prompted their toy companies to starting selling equipment commercially. The old racket were made of wood that is generating a lot of noise, creating the name ping pong. From the one the name ping pong was usually used in unit, the name company. Jack James registered the brand in 1991 and the other manufacturers starting to using the name table tennis. The same occurred in the United States where Jake sold the right to the ping pong name to the Park Brothers. An important innovation came with James Gibb, an Englishman passionate about the game, who discovered some suitably on the ball. On a trip to the United States in 1991 and thought they would be ideal for the game. Soon after in 1993, A.C. Goldin invented a modern version of the racket that rugby glued to the wooden blade. The popularity of table tennis grew in 1991 when tournaments were organized book were writing and an unofficial World Cup taking place in 1992 in 1921. A table tennis organization was created and shortly thereafter the International Table Tennis Federation in 1926. London hosted the FIS World Cup in 1927, but only in 1988 ensued the sport because Olympic. Then the end of 2000, the old 38 millions ball were officially replaced by the 40 millions ball. Sure, a mystery was taken to increase the air resistance the ball and effectively slow down the game. At that time, the players started to increase the quickness of the rugby sponger making that game extremely fast. After the move, it is expressed that table tennis will be easier to watching and that the sporting will gain popularity.
Igor 3837. Top 3 countries in Paralympic Games: China 59 gold, 26 silver, 14 bronze, total 99. Second, Germany 43 gold, 28 silver, 26 bronze, total 97. Third, French 34 gold, 43 silver, 47 bronze, total 124. Top 3 players. First, Meng Chen, China, 19,750 points. Second, Zheng Dongfan, China, 18,490 points. Third, Xin Shu, China, 17,260 points. João Gabriel Chagas, 4382.
Paralympic table tennis first appeared at the 1960 edition in Rome. This sport includes both female and male players and has its main focus on people with cerebral palsy and putters and wheelchair users. The competitions can be divided between walking and wheelchair mesh players, with individual, doubles, or team matches. The matches are best of the 5 sets, each set being played until only of the players reach 11 points. In case of a 10-10 tie, the player who opens a 2 points lead wins.
In relation to conventional table tennis, there are only a few differences in the rules, such as the time of serve for the wheelchair user category. In Brazil, the sport is managed by the Brazilian Table Tennis Confederation. The Paralympic sport is not very popular, but the country where it is most popular is China. Paralympic table tennis arrived in Brazil in the 1970s, but until today it has not had much visibility in the countries. There are competitions but not with a high number of spectators. The adapted table tennis competitions is divided into various classifications according to the players' disability and its respective degree, which are separated into three groups. Igor 3837. Wheelchair users. Classes range from 1 to 5, with the lower number significate a higher degree of disability. Classes 1 and 2 correspond to quadriplegics, while the remaining classes correspond to paraplegics. Walkers. Classes range from 6 to 10. These begin players with some kind of motor limitation, either in their arms or legs, but who can still stand upgrade and move around. Mentally handicapped. Here, there is only class 11, which is used to identify these players.
With this presentation, we can highlight the importance of sports in people's lives and how it's able to unite several peoples. We can also observe how the inclusion of the disabled in sports in general has been happening during this time. Something that is very important because it sends a message to the viewer that everyone is able to achieve their dreams regardless of how monstrous their problem is.